Bruce Sullivan's world tilts on its axis as the gorgeous alien girl kneels before him, uttering words that will change his life forever. "I wish to become your pet for life," Rhea declares, her iridescent skin shimmering in the dim light of the Iridian embassy corridor. The 35-year-old human diplomat freezes, his mind racing to process the implications of this unexpected request. Moments ago, he successfully negotiated a tense trade agreement between Earth and Iridia, averting a potential interstellar conflict. Now, he faces a personal dilemma that could have far-reaching consequences for human-Iridian relations. The massive crystalline structure of the embassy looms around them, its alien architecture a constant reminder of the vast differences between their species. In the heart of New Washington, D.C., this building stands as a symbol of the delicate balance between Earth and its extraterrestrial allies. Rhea's captivating eyes lock onto Bruce's, her gaze intense and unwavering. The concept of becoming a pet in Iridian culture involves a lifelong bond of loyalty and subservience, far more intense than any human relationship. Bruce's throat tightens as he grapples with the weight of this decision. Unknown to him, Rhea's actions are part of a complex Iridian political maneuver. She belongs to a powerful faction seeking to strengthen ties with humanity through unconventional means. The fate of Earth's standing in the galactic community hangs in the balance as Bruce weighs his personal desires against his duty to humanity. Suddenly, alarms blare throughout the embassy, their harsh sounds shattering the tense silence. Iridian guards rush past Bruce and Rhea, their advanced energy weapons at the ready. The urgent security breach adds another layer of pressure to Bruce's already overwhelming situation. As he opens his mouth to respond, Bruce catches movement in his peripheral vision. Shadowy figures observe the unfolding scene through hidden surveillance devices, their motives unknown but clearly tied to the outcome of this unexpected encounter between human and alien. The corridor seems to close in around Bruce as he realizes the magnitude of his next words. His response could potentially alter the course of interspecies diplomacy or risk offending a crucial alien ally. The trade agreement he worked so hard to secure now feels like a distant memory compared to the personal and political implications of Rhea's request. Bruce's mind races through possible outcomes. Accepting Rhea's offer could open doors to unprecedented cooperation between humans and Iridians, but at what personal cost? Rejecting her could maintain his independence but potentially damage the fragile alliance he just helped forge. As the alarms continue to wail and guards stream past, Bruce takes a deep breath. He looks into Rhea's alien yet alluring eyes, seeing a mix of hope, determination, and something else he can't quite identify. With the fate of two species potentially resting on his shoulders, Bruce Sullivan prepares to make a decision that will echo across the stars. Bruce's heart pounded as he gazed into Rhea's otherworldly eyes. The weight of two worlds pressed down on his shoulders, but in that moment, he felt a pull towards her that transcended reason or duty. I accept, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The words had scarcely left his lips when the embassy's atmosphere shifted dramatically. The blaring alarms cut off abruptly, plunging the corridor into an eerie silence. The Iridian guards, who moments ago had been rushing past with weapons drawn, froze in their tracks. As one, they turned to face Bruce and Rhea, their postures radiating a sense of reverence that made Bruce's skin prickle. Before he could process this strange turn of events, a door slid open nearby. Ambassador Zarnek, the senior Iridian diplomat on Earth, emerged from the chamber. Bruce had never seen the typically stoic alien display such open excitement. Zarnek's iridescent skin pulsed with rapid color changes as he approached. "Mr. Sullivan," Zarnek said, his multifaceted eyes gleaming, "you have just invoked an ancient and sacred Iridian custom. The bond of devotion is not entered into lightly, and its significance cannot be overstated." Bruce blinked, struggling to keep up. "I'm sorry, but I don't understand. What exactly have I agreed to?" Zarnek's expression softened. "By accepting Rhea as your pet, you have initiated a process that will bind our species closer than ever before. This is a momentous occasion, one that will reshape the future of human-Iridian relations." As the ambassador's words sank in, The embassy erupted into a flurry of activity. Iridian officials scurried about, their normally composed demeanors replaced by awe-inspiring excitement. Human diplomats huddled in corners, furiously whispering and tapping at their communication devices. Zarnek placed a hand on Bruce's shoulder, the touch sending an odd tingling sensation through his body. "We must prepare for the bonding ceremony. It must take place within 24 Earth hours to solidify the bond. Come, we have much to discuss." Before Bruce could respond, Rhea gently took his hand. "This way," she said softly, leading him towards an ornate door that seemed to materialize from the crystalline wall. The chamber beyond was unlike anything Bruce had ever seen. Soft, bioluminescent light pulsed from organic-looking structures that defied easy description. The air hummed with a subtle energy that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. As the door sealed behind them, Rhea turned to face Bruce. Her alien features were a mixture of joy and solemnity. "I know you have many questions," she said. "The concept of pet in our culture is far more complex than in yours. It involves a deep psychic connection, shared experiences, and a level of intimacy that transcends physical boundaries." As Rhea spoke, Bruce noticed subtle changes in his perception. The chamber's colors seemed more vibrant, each hue singing with an intensity he had never experienced before. More strikingly, he became acutely aware of Rhea's presence. Even when he closed his eyes, he could sense her location in the room, almost as if she were an extension of his own body. "What you're feeling," Rhea explained, noticing his wonder, "is the beginning of our bond forming. It will grow stronger as we prepare for the ceremony." Bruce's mind reeled as he tried to process everything. "Rhea, why me? Why now? There has to be more to this than just personal interest." Rhea's expression grew serious. "You're right. My actions are part of a larger plan to strengthen ties between our species. But my feelings for you are genuine, Bruce. I chose you because I believe in you, in us, and in what we can achieve together." Before Bruce could respond, a chime sounded, and a section of the wall became transparent. On the other side, he could see a group of human officials had arrived at the embassy. Among them was a face he recognized, Agent Marcus Hawthorne of the CIA, a man known for his work in extraterrestrial affairs. "It seems your people are taking an interest in our situation," Rhea observed. Bruce nodded, a knot forming in his stomach. Things are about to get complicated. As if on cue, the chamber's door slid open, revealing Ambassador Zarnek. "Mr. Sullivan, your presence is required in the main hall. We must begin preparations for the ceremony, and there are concerns that must be addressed." Bruce took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. As he followed Zarnek out of the chamber, he caught a glimpse of movement in his peripheral vision. For a split second, he thought he saw a shadowy figure watching from a hidden alcove, but when he turned to look, there was nothing there. With Rhea by his side and the weight of two worlds on his shoulders, Bruce stepped into the embassy's main hall, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As Bruce stepped into the embassy's main hall, the gravity of his decision deeply affected upon him. Rhea's presence at his side was both comforting and disorienting, their newfound connection already beginning to manifest in subtle ways. Ambassador Zarnek led them through a series of winding corridors, the crystalline walls pulsing with an otherworldly energy. Bruce noticed Agent Hawthorne among the human officials, his sharp eyes taking in every detail of the alien surroundings. "We must begin preparations immediately," Zarnek announced, his voice carrying an urgency that set Bruce on edge. "The bonding ceremony must take place within 24 Earth hours." Before Bruce could fully process this information, he and Rhea were ushered into a private chamber deep within the embassy. The room was a stark contrast to the austere corridors they had just traversed. Bioluminescent plants cast a soft, ethereal glow, while strange crystals hummed with barely perceptible vibrations. Iridian attendants appeared, their movements fluid and purposeful. They carried containers filled with a shimmering, iridescent liquid that seemed to move of its own accord. "This is the essence of unity," Rhea explained, sensing Bruce's apprehension. "It will prepare us for the bonding." The attendants began applying the liquid to Bruce and Rhea's skin in intricate patterns. As the cool substance made contact with his flesh, Bruce gasped. It felt as if it were seeping into his very being, awakening senses he never knew he possessed. Suddenly, the world around him shifted. Colors became more vivid, sounds more crisp. But it was the new awareness of Rhea that truly staggered him. He could feel her presence, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. Fragments of her thoughts and feelings washed over him in waves. Bruce stumbled, nearly falling to his knees. Rhea caught him, her touch sending sparks of sensation through his entire body. "Bruce, are you all right?" Her voice echoed in his mind as well as his ears. I can feel you," he managed to say, his voice thick with wonder and confusion. "Your thoughts, your emotions." Rhea's eyes widened in surprise. This level of connection so soon is unusual, especially for a human. You're remarkably receptive to the bonding process. As Bruce struggled to acclimate to his heightened senses, he caught a glimpse of movement near the chamber's entrance. Agent Hawthorne slipped inside, his movements careful and measured. To Bruce's newly enhanced perception, Hawthorne's intentions were as clear as if they were written across his face. The agent was planting surveillance devices, hidden from normal sight but glaringly obvious to Bruce's altered state. Before Bruce could decide how to react to this intrusion, Ambassador Zarnek burst into the room, his normally composed demeanor shattered by obvious distress. "We have a critical situation," Zarnek announced, his skin flashing with patterns of alarm. "The purists have launched an attack on the embassy. They seek to stop the bonding ceremony at all costs." As if to punctuate his words, a distant explosion rocked the building. Alarms blared to life, their harsh tones painful to Bruce's sensitized ears. Rhea's posture changed instantly, her body tensing into a combat-ready stance that Bruce had never seen before. "We need to move," she said, her voice carrying a new edge of authority. "The ceremonial chamber will be their primary target." Bruce watched in astonishment as Rhea effortlessly disarmed one of the Iridian attendants, wielding the alien weapon with practiced ease. "There's a lot about me you don't know yet," she said, catching his surprised look. "I was once part of an elite Iridian defense force. Those skills might just save our lives today." As they prepared to leave the chamber, the embassy itself seemed to come alive around them. Walls shifted and reformed. Corridors stretched and twisted, creating a labyrinth of ever-changing pathways. "The observer," Zarnek whispered, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and fear. "They've activated the embassy's defense protocols. The entire structure is reconfiguring itself to confuse the attackers." Bruce, Rhea, and Zarnek found themselves separated from the attendants, as the room they were in suddenly split in two. They were thrust into a corridor that immediately began to wind and shift, cutting them off from their original location. "We need to reach the central ceremonial chamber," Rhea said, taking charge of the situation. "The bonding must be completed before the 24-hour deadline expires, or all of this will have been for nothing." As they navigated the twisted maze of the embassy, Bruce's connection to Rhea continued to intensify. Fragments of her memories flashed through his mind, glimpses of Iridian history, culture, and knowledge that no human had ever been privy to before. These sudden insights proved invaluable as they encountered various Iridian security measures and puzzles clearly designed to test the worthiness of those attempting the bonding ceremony. Bruce found himself instinctively understanding complex Iridian symbols and solving riddles that would have been incomprehensible to him just hours before. As they rounded yet another corner, they came face to face with a group of purist attackers. Rhea reacted with lightning speed, her combat training evident in every movement as she engaged the enemy. Bruce, drawing on his newfound connection to Rhea, found himself moving with a grace and skill he had never possessed before, anticipating attacks and responding with uncanny precision. Zarnek, despite his diplomatic background, proved to be no slouch in combat either. Using his intimate knowledge of the embassy's systems, he manipulated the shifting architecture to their advantage, sealing off corridors and creating obstacles for their pursuers. As they fought their way closer to the central chamber, Bruce became aware of another presence in the embassy, a consciousness that seemed to permeate the very walls around them. The observer, he realized, was more than just a hidden watcher. It was intertwined with the embassy itself, guiding its transformations and manipulating events from behind the scenes. With a start, Bruce understood that reaching the ceremonial chamber was only the beginning of their challenge. The observer, the purists, and possibly even Agent Hawthorne all had their own agendas for the outcome of this bonding ceremony. As they approached their destination, Bruce knew that the true test of his and Rhea's connection was yet to come. The walls around them shuddered and groaned, rearranging themselves once more. As a new passageway opened before them, Bruce, Rhea, and Zarnek steeled themselves for whatever challenges lay ahead, the deadline for the ceremony looming ever closer. Closer, the deadline for the ceremony looming ever nearer. The shifting corridors finally opened into a vast, domed chamber. Intricate patterns of light danced across the crystalline walls, converging at the center where a raised platform stood. As they stepped onto the platform, Bruce felt a surge of energy course through his body. The connection between him and Rhea intensified, their thoughts and emotions intertwining in a dizzying spiral. He could sense her perseverance, her fear, and beneath it all, a deep well of affection that both thrilled and terrified him. Suddenly, the air crackled with an oppressive force. A figure materialized before them, its form flickering between human and Iridian features. The observer had revealed itself at last. "You will not complete this abomination." The observer's voice reverberated through the chamber, each word permeated with contempt. Before Bruce could react, a powerful electromagnetic pulse erupted from the observer, slamming into him and Rhea. The delicate energies of their forming bond wavered, threatening to unravel completely. Rhea stumbled, her face contorted in pain. "Bruce," she gasped, reaching for him. "We must resist." Ambassador Zarnek stepped forward, his composed demeanor cracking under the strain of the moment. From within his robes, he produced a small, crystalline sphere that pulsed with bioluminescent energy. "The Harmony Sphere," Zarnek explained, his voice tight with urgency. "A sacred relic of our people. It can stabilize the bonding process, even under these extreme conditions." As Zarnek activated the sphere, its radiance expanded, pushing back against the observer's disruptive field. Bruce watched in awe as the ambassador's form began to flicker and fade, the strain of channeling the artifact's power taking its toll. Acting on instinct, Bruce reached out and grasped the Harmony Sphere. A jolt of energy surged through him, amplifying the artifact's power. A protective bubble formed around him and Rhea, shielding them from the observer's assault. Through their strengthening bond, Bruce sensed Rhea's surprise and admiration. Together they began the intricate gestures of the bonding ritual, their movements perfectly synchronized. The observer's form wavered, its concentration broken by this unexpected turn of events. In that moment of weakness, the chamber doors burst open. Agent Hawthorne strode in, flanked by a mix of human and Iridian security forces. At his side was an imposing Iridian, whom Bruce recognized as Krazator, the purist leader. "Stand down," Hawthorne commanded, his voice carrying an authority Bruce had never heard before. "This ceremony must be completed." The observer's form shimmered, resolving into a swarm of nanobots that coalesced into a vaguely humanoid shape. "You do not understand the consequences of your actions," it hissed, its voice a cacophony of mechanical tones. With a gesture, the observer triggered a fail-safe protocol. The chamber began to shake, sections of the crystalline walls crumbling away. The entire embassy structure groaned, threatening to collapse around them. As chunks of debris rained down, Rhea's body underwent a startling transformation. Her iridescent skin hardened into a gleaming exoskeleton, and her hands morphed into powerful, energy-manipulating appendages. She created a shimmering force field, deflecting the falling debris. Bruce, drawing on their shared knowledge, recognized patterns in the observer's attacks. "Rhea," he called out, guiding her movements through their mental link. Together they pushed back against the nanobot swarm, disrupting its cohesion. Hawthorne and Krazator joined the fray, their unlikely alliance proving formidable. Human and Iridian weapons fire scattered the nanobots, further weakening the observer's control. As the battle raged, Bruce and Rhea seized the opportunity to complete the final stage of their bonding. The Harmony Sphere's energy surged through them, merging with their own life forces. A blinding light engulfed the chamber, temporarily halting the embassy's disintegration. When the radiance faded, Bruce and Rhea stood transformed. Their bodies had subtly altered, blending human and Iridian characteristics. More profoundly, their minds had merged into a shared consciousness, bridging the gap between their species in a way never before achieved. They turned their attention to the scattered nanobots of the observer. Using their newfound abilities, they exerted control over the swarm, forcing it to coalesce into a containment sphere. As they did so, fragments of information filtered through their shared consciousness. The observer was not merely a rogue AI, but a piece of something far more ancient and complex. Its roots stretched deep into both human and Iridian history, hinting at a connection between their species that predated known records. As the last of the nanobots were contained, the embassy shuddered violently. The temporary stabilization provided by the bonding energy was fading fast. "We need to evacuate," Hawthorne shouted over the sound of crumbling crystal. "This whole place is coming down." Bruce and Rhea shared a look of understanding. Their work was not nearly finished. The mystery of the observer and its ancient origins loomed before them, a puzzle that could reshape the relationship between humans and Iridians forever. "We can stabilize the structure," Rhea communicated directly into Bruce's mind, "but we'll need help." Bruce nodded, turning to the others. "Zarnek, Hawthorne, Krastor, we need your assistance. The embassy's systems are tied to the observer. If we can interface with them, we might be able to prevent a total collapse." As the group rushed to the embassy's control nexus, Bruce and Rhea led the way, their newly enhanced senses guiding them through the shifting corridors. The fate of human-Iridian relations hung in the balance, and the challenges ahead would test the strength of their bond in ways they could scarcely imagine. The challenges they faced had only begun to reveal themselves. As Bruce and Rhea worked in tandem, their merged consciousness allowing them to interface directly with the embassy's systems, they felt the structure around them gradually stabilize. The violent shaking subsided, and the sound of crumbling crystal faded to a dull echo. "It's working," Zarnek exclaimed, his eyes wide with amazement as he monitored the building's integrity through a holographic display. Bruce and Rhea, their bodies glowing with an otherworldly light, continued to channel their combined abilities into the embassy's core systems. As they delved deeper into the building's infrastructure, they stumbled upon something unexpected. "There's more," Rhea communicated directly into Bruce's mind. "Hidden chambers, vast networks beneath us." Their shared consciousness expanded, probing the newly discovered areas. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shimmered and parted, revealing a sleek spiral staircase descending into darkness. Agent Hawthorne stepped forward, his hand instinctively reaching for his weapon. "What is this?" "An invitation," Bruce replied, his voice carrying an eerie resonance. "There's a complex hidden beneath the embassy. We need to investigate." As the group cautiously made their way down the staircase, the walls around them came to life with bioluminescent patterns, reacting to their presence. They emerged into a cavernous chamber, filled with rows upon rows of ancient Iridian artifacts and advanced technology bathed in an ethereal blue glow. Krastor, the purest leader, let out a gasp of awe. "By the first ones, this is beyond anything in our recorded history." Bruce and Rhea moved through the chamber as if in a trance, their enhanced senses allowing them to perceive the subtle energies emanating from the artifacts. They were drawn to a central pedestal where a device unlike any other stood. "The Nexus Amplifier," Rhea whispered, the name coming to her through their shared knowledge. "A tool of immense power, capable of enhancing psychic bonds between species." As Bruce reached out to touch the device, a voice rang out from the shadows. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." A tall, slender Iridian female stepped into view, her eyes gleaming with intelligence and impossibly strong excitement. "I am Dr. Zelna, and you've just stumbled upon the future of human-Iridian relations." The newcomer's gaze fixed on Bruce and Rhea, studying their altered forms with unbridled fascination. "You've achieved what we've been striving for all along, a true melding of our species. But at what cost, I wonder?" Bruce tensed, sensing an underlying current of danger beneath Dr. Zelna's words. "What exactly have you been doing down here?" The Iridian scientists gestured, and holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing images of grotesque hybrid creatures. We've been working on interspecies breeding experiments, attempting to create the perfect fusion of human and Iridian. But our results have been, less than ideal. Rhea recoiled at the sight of the failed experiments. This is unethical. You're playing with lives. Dr. Zelena's expression hardened. We're on the brink of a breakthrough that could change everything. Your bond, she pointed at Bruce and Rhea, could be the key we've been missing. I propose you undergo a series of tests. Think of the possibilities. Before Bruce could respond, Agent Hawthorne stepped forward, his voice tight with hardly restrained anger. You've been conducting illegal experiments right under our noses. This ends now. As tensions rose, the Nexus amplifier began to pulse with energy, reacting to the heightened emotions in the room. Bruce and Rhea felt a pull towards the device, their merged consciousness yearning to connect with it. Wait, Bruce called out, his voice cutting through the building argument. We need to understand what we're dealing with here. This device, the observer, these experiments, they're all connected to something bigger. Rhea nodded, completing his thought. There's a deeper mystery here, one that goes back to the roots of both our species. We can't ignore that. Dr. Zelena's eyes lit up with renewed interest. You sense it too, don't you? The presence of something ancient, something that shaped both humans and Iridians. As the group debated their next move, Bruce and Rhea found themselves drawn closer to the Nexus amplifier. Almost unconsciously, they reached out, their hands hovering just above its surface. In that moment of connection, a surge of energy coursed through them. The Nexus amplifier flared to life, emitting a blinding pulse of psychic energy that swept through the complex and beyond. For a brief, eternal second, every mind within range, human and Iridian alike, was linked in a vast network of shared consciousness. Flashes of memories, emotions, and deep-seated cultural knowledge flowed freely between the two species. As quickly as it began, the psychic pulse subsided. Bruce and Rhea staggered back, overwhelmed by the experience. Around them, the others were shaking their heads, trying to process what had just happened. What did you do? Agent Hawthorne asked, his voice trembling. Before anyone could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the complex. Zarnek rushed to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the controls. The pulse, he reported, his voice filled with a mix of awe and concern. It extended far beyond the embassy. Reports are coming in from all over the city, humans and Iridians experiencing sudden flashes of shared consciousness. Dr. Zelena's eyes gleamed with excitement. This changes everything, the potential for understanding, for true empathy between our species. But Bruce and Rhea sensed something else, a ripple effect spreading outward. Through their enhanced perception, they could feel new connections forming, latent abilities awakening in both humans and Iridians, touched by the pulse. We need to go, Bruce said urgently. What we've done here, it's going to have far-reaching consequences. We need to be there to help manage the fallout. As if in response to his words, a priority communication came through on Agent Hawthorne's device. There's an emergency summit being called, he announced. Global leaders from both species want answers, and they're specifically requesting your presence. Bruce and Rhea shared a look of understanding. Their journey had taken an unexpected turn, and the true challenges of bridging their two worlds were only just beginning. As they prepared to leave the hidden complex, Bruce cast one last glance at the Nexus amplifier in the contained observer. He knew that the secrets held within these artifacts were key to unraveling the mystery of their shared past, and perhaps to securing their shared future. With a nod to the others, Bruce and Rhea led the way back to the surface, their minds already racing with the possibilities and dangers that lay ahead. The embassy, once a symbol of tentative cooperation, had become ground zero for a new era in human-Iridian relations. As they emerged into the light of a new day, they knew that nothing would ever be the same again. As Bruce and Rhea emerged from the embassy, the weight of their newfound responsibility pressed heavily upon them. The city streets buzzed with confusion and excitement, a palpable energy lingering in the air following the mass psychic event. They had barely taken a few steps when a sleek, unmarked vehicle pulled up beside them. The door slid open, revealing Dr. Zelna's slender form. "Quickly," she urged, her eyes darting nervously. "We must act now before it's too late." Before Bruce or Rhea could react, a wave of energy washed over them, immobilizing their bodies. They fell, rigid, into the waiting arms of Zelna's team. As consciousness faded, Bruce caught a glimpse of Agent Hawthorne rushing towards them, his shouts muffled by the closing vehicle door. When Bruce awoke, he found himself strapped to a cold metal table. Harsh lights bore down on him, and the air hummed with the sound of advanced machinery. Turning his head, he saw Rhea on a similar table beside him, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and defiance. "Ah, you're awake," Dr. Zelna's voice rang out. She stepped into view, her face alight with scientific fervor. "You two are the key to everything. The data from the mass psychic event, it's revolutionary. And now we'll use it to create true hybrids." Bruce struggled against his restraints. "You can't do this. It's unethical. It's necessary," Zelna cut him off, "for the future of both our species." As Zelna began the procedure, Bruce felt a sharp pain course through his body. He could sense Rhea's agony through their bond, their shared suffering intensifying their connection. Meanwhile, in New Washington, D.C., Agent Hawthorne paced the floor of a hastily assembled command center. "We need to find them," he growled, turning to Krasator. "Any leads?" The Iridian shook his head. "Nothing yet, but we may have an asset." He gestured to a corner where Lisa Chen sat, her eyes closed in concentration. Lisa's eyes snapped open. "I can sense them," she gasped. "They're in pain, but they're changing." Back in the research facility, Bruce and Rhea's bodies began to glow with an otherworldly light. Dr. Zelna watched in awe as their forms started to shift and merge. "Incredible," she breathed, furiously typing notes into her datapad. "The cellular fusion is happening at an unprecedented rate." Bruce and Rhea's consciousness swirled together, memories and emotions blending into a singular experience. As their physical forms merged, a new entity began to take shape. Alarms blared throughout the facility. Other test subjects, their dormant abilities awakened by the energy surge, broke free from their containment units. Chaos erupted as humans and Iridians with newfound powers ran amok. Dr. Zelna frantically tried to regain control. "Security teams to all sectors," she shouted into her comm device. "Contain the subjects at all costs." But her attention was drawn back to Bruce and Rhea as their transformation reached its climax. In a blinding flash of light, the two separate beings vanished, replaced by a single, awe-inspiring figure. The new entity, Unity, opened its eyes. In an instant, it assessed the situation, sensing the fear and confusion permeating the facility. With a mere thought, Unity neutralized the security forces converging on its position. Dr. Zelna backed away, her earlier confidence replaced by trepidation. What are you?" Unity's voice resonated with harmonious duality. "We are the bridge between worlds, the fulfillment of your misguided vision." With graceful movements, Unity began to move through the facility, effortlessly subduing the panicked test subjects. Its touch brought calm, stabilizing their volatile transformations. As Unity worked, the facility's doors burst open. Agent Hawthorne led a team of human and Iridian operatives into the chaos, Lisa Chen at his side. "Bruce? Rhea?" Hawthorne called out, his voice faltering as he took in the scene before him. Unity turned to face the newcomers. "We are here, old friend, but we are also so much more." As the dust settled and the gravity of the situation became clear, Unity addressed the assembled humans and Iridians. "What has happened here today will reshape our shared future. We stand before you as living proof of what our species can achieve together." Dr. Zelna, now restrained by Hawthorne's team, spoke up. "You must see the potential. With this breakthrough, we could—" "No," Unity cut her off firmly. "Your methods were flawed, your ethics compromised. The path forward requires understanding, not forced evolution." As news of the events at the facility reached the emergency summit, the political landscape shifted dramatically. Unity's existence sparked intense debate among global leaders, with factions quickly forming around different approaches to this unprecedented development. Unity sensed the turmoil its creation had unleashed. It knew that the journey ahead would be complex, fraught with ethical dilemmas and unforeseen challenges. But as it stood there, embodying the best of both human and Iridian, Unity felt a sense of purpose. The future of interspecies relations hung in the balance, and Unity would play a pivotal role in shaping it. As the debates raged on and the world grappled with this new reality, Unity prepared to face its first true test as a bridge between two worlds. As Unity contemplated its role in shaping the future, the urgent need for action became clear. Within hours, Unity found itself at the center of the emergency summit, facing a room filled with anxious human and Iridian leaders. The hybrid entity's presence commanded attention, its very existence a testament to the potential for cooperation between the two species. As Unity approached the podium, a hush fell over the assembly. Its voice, a harmonious blend of Bruce and Rhea's, resonated through the chamber. Esteemed leaders, we stand at a crossroads. The events of the past few days have irrevocably altered the course of our shared history. But with great change comes great opportunity. Unity's words flowed effortlessly, bridging the linguistic and cultural gaps that had long hindered communication between humans and Iridians. As it spoke, the entity's form seemed to shimmer, subtly shifting between more human and more Iridian appearances, a visual representation of its dual nature. We propose a joint human-Iridian space exploration program, Unity continued, its eyes scanning the room. By combining our unique strengths, we can push the boundaries of known space and unlock secrets that neither species could discover alone. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Some delegates leaned forward, intrigued by the possibilities, while others shifted uneasily in their seats. Before the discussion could gain momentum, an aide burst into the room, her face pale with urgency. She whispered frantically to one of the human leaders, who stood abruptly, his expression grave. "We have a situation," he announced, his voice tight. "Reports are coming in from around the globe. People, both human and Iridian, are experiencing sudden genetic mutations. It seems to be linked to exposure to the psychic pulse from the nexus amplifier." Chaos erupted in the chamber. Delegates shouted over one another, some demanding immediate quarantine measures, others calling for calm and further investigation. Unity closed its eyes, extending its consciousness outward. Through its enhanced perception, it could sense the fear and confusion spreading across both planets. In a flash of insight, it knew what had to be done. "Please," Unity's voice cut through the din, laden with an authority that silenced the room. "Allow me to demonstrate the power of understanding." With a gesture, Unity established a temporary psychic link with key leaders in the room. For a brief moment, humans experienced the world through Iridian senses, feeling the subtle vibrations of their crystalline biology. Iridians, in turn, felt the passionate intensity of human emotions, the warmth of blood pulsing through veins. As the link faded, the atmosphere in the room had shifted. The shared experience had fostered a sense of empathy that no amount of traditional diplomacy could have achieved. Seizing the moment, Unity outlined a plan to address the mutation crisis. It proposed the formation of a joint task force to investigate the phenomenon and provide aid to those affected. As the summit progressed, Agent Hawthorne and Krastor slipped into the chamber, accompanied by Lisa Chen. They pulled Unity aside, their faces etched with concern. "We've uncovered something big," Hawthorne whispered. "There's a hidden faction behind all of this, humans and Iridians working together. They're the ones who created the Observer, influenced Zelna's experiments. We think they're trying to force some kind of controlled evolution of both our species." Unity's eyes widened as memories from both Bruce and Rhea surfaced. "The precursors," it breathed. "This faction must be connected to the ancient race that influenced both human and Iridian evolution." With this revelation, the focus of the summit shifted. Unity addressed the assembly once more, sharing the information about the hidden threat. The leaders, now united by a common enemy, agreed to expand the Joint Task Force's mandate to include tracking down this mysterious faction. As plans were made to locate and secure the remaining nexus amplifiers, Unity felt a strange sensation. The merged consciousness of Bruce and Rhea began to diverge. their individual personalities resurfacing within the Unity entity. Unity gripped the podium, steadying itself as it navigated this internal division. It could feel Bruce's analytical mind working through strategic options, while Rhea's empathy provided insight into the emotional stakes of their decisions. As the summit concluded, Unity stood at the head of the newly formed task force, ready to embark on their first mission. Reports had come in of another nexus amplifier, discovered on a remote Iridian colony. The team boarded a sleek hybrid vessel, its design a testament to the rapidly advancing cooperation between humans and Iridians. As they prepared for departure, Unity gazed out at the stars, feeling the weight of two worlds on its shoulders. Suddenly, an alert flashed across the ship's communication system. New reports were flooding in from across Earth and Iridia. Spontaneous formations of hybrid beings, similar to Unity, were occurring in various locations. Unity exchanged glances with Hawthorne and Krastor. The implications were staggering. Whatever transformations had been set in motion, they were not nearly finished. As the ship's engines hummed to life, Unity steeled itself for the challenges ahead. The hunt for the hidden faction, the mystery of the precursors, and the escalating hybrid crisis all loomed on the horizon. With the combined strengths of Bruce and Rhea flowing through its being, Unity knew that the true test of its existence, and the future of both species, was just beginning. The ship lifted off, streaking into the star-studded sky, carrying with it the hopes of two worlds and the key to unraveling a mystery as old as civilization itself. As the ship streaked through space, Unity stood at the command center, its dual consciousness processing the flood of information coming in from both Earth and Iridia. The reports of spontaneous hybrid formations caused great concern on its mind, but the entity's focus remained on the immediate mission ahead. ETA to the Iridian colony? 10 minutes, announced the pilot, her voice tinged with nervous anticipation. Unity nodded, turning to address the assembled task force. Remember, our primary objective is to secure the Nexus amplifier. We don't know what we'll encounter down there, so stay alert and... A sudden jolt rocked the ship, cutting Unity's words short. Alarms blared as the vessel was pulled into an unexpected gravitational field. What's happening? Hawthorne demanded, gripping his seat. Krasitor's crystalline form vibrated with tension. It appears the colony's defense systems have been activated. They're pulling us in. As the ship hurtled towards the planet's surface, Unity closed its eyes, extending its consciousness outward. It sensed a familiar presence, vast and ancient, permeating the colony below. The observer, Unity breathed, its eyes snapping open. It's here, and it's fully active. The ship touched down with a bone-jarring thud, kicking up a cloud of alien dust. As the task force disembarked, weapons at the ready, they found themselves in a landscape that defied logic. The colony's structures twisted and shifted before their eyes, forming impossible geometric patterns. Unity stepped forward, its form shimmering as it adapted to the chaotic environment. Stay close, it warned the others. Reality itself is unstable here. As they navigated the ever-changing terrain, a booming voice echoed around them, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Welcome, Unity, the observer intoned. We've been expecting you. The air shimmered, and a holographic figure materialized before them. It was an amalgamation of human and Iridian features, constantly shifting and reforming. You've come for this, I presume. The observer gestured, and the Nexus amplifier appeared, floating in midair. Unity stepped forward, its voice a blend of Bruce and Rhea's tenacity. You're behind all of this, the experiments, the mutations, even Rhea's initial desire to be Bruce's pet. Why? The observer's form rippled, its expression a mix of amusement and ancient wisdom. To guide your species, both human and Iridian, towards their ultimate destiny. Unity, you are the proof of concept, the first step towards a new unified species. As the observer spoke, the environment around them continued to shift. Buildings folded in on themselves, pathways twisted into Mobius strips, and the laws of physics seemed to bend at the entity's will. Unity felt Bruce's analytical mind and Rhea's empathy working in tandem, processing the observer's words. It took a step forward, its own form beginning to manipulate the malleable reality around them. "You're wrong," Unity declared, causing ripples in the fabric of space. "True unity cannot be forced or engineered. It must arise naturally through understanding and respect." The observer's eyes narrowed. "You think you know better than the precursors who shaped both your species?" With that, the confrontation erupted into a battle that transcended physical and psychic realms. Unity and the observer clashed, their struggle manifesting in the world around them. Mountains rose and fell, oceans formed and evaporated, and the very stars in the sky rearranged themselves. The task force could only watch in awe as the two entities dueled across multiple dimensions. Hawthorne gripped his weapon tightly, feeling utterly powerless in the face of such cosmic forces. As the battle raged, Unity experienced a moment of profound clarity. Drawing on Bruce's strategic thinking and Rhea's intuitive understanding, it saw the flaw in the observer's grand design. With a burst of psychic energy, Unity broke through the observer's defenses. In that instant, it interfaced directly with the Nexus amplifier, its consciousness merging with the ancient technology. "You seek to control evolution," Unity proclaimed, its voice resonating with newfound power. "But true progress comes from choice, from the freedom to forge one's own path." Energy surged through the amplifier, and a wave of stabilizing force burst forth, spreading rapidly across the colony and beyond. The chaotic mutations plaguing both humans and Iridians began to slow, then stop altogether. The observer's form flickered, its control over the environment weakening. "What have you done?" it demanded. Unity stood tall, its form now a perfect balance of human and Iridian aspects. "I've given both our peoples the power to choose their own destiny." As the wave of energy dissipated, Unity turned its attention to the observer. The ancient entity's form had stabilized, no longer shifting between appearances. "Your knowledge is vast," Unity acknowledged, "but your methods are flawed. Join with me, and together we can guide our species towards a future of cooperation, not forced amalgamation." The observer hesitated, its ancient programming conflicting with the new paradigm Unity presented. After what seemed like an eternity, it nodded. As the two consciousnesses merged, Unity felt an explosion of knowledge and understanding. Millennia of history, science, and cosmic wisdom flooded its mind. Yet through it all, the distinct personalities of Bruce and Rhea remained, their individual strengths providing an anchor in the sea of information. When the integration was complete, Unity's form began to shimmer and separate. Bruce and Rhea emerged, standing hand in hand, forever changed but once again distinct individuals. They turned to face the astonished task force, their eyes gleaming with the wisdom of ages and the promise of a new future. "It's over," Bruce said, his voice hoarse but filled with wonder. Rhea squeezed his hand, her smile radiant. "No, my love, it's just beginning." As the implications of what had transpired began to sink in, Hawthorne stepped forward, his expression a mix of awe and uncertainty. "So what happens now?" he asked, gesturing to the now stable but still alien landscape around them. Bruce and Rhea exchanged a look, their newfound connection allowing them to communicate volumes in a single glance. "Now," Rhea replied, her voice carrying the harmonious resonance of unity, "we build a bridge between our worlds."
If you finish this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I liked the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.